Good evening, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode here at WILDMAN Lives. I'm your host, WILDMAN. Now on today's episode, I'm doing the Circus Dumbbell, and I don't want to stay out here too long, so I'm going to be doing some sled work and just trying to move as quickly as I can as I go up and weight on this. And eventually I'm going to switch it out for the Rogue Monster Bell, because that's a lot harder to lift, and I'm going to see how I do with that tonight. So I believe that it's a polar opposite moment than it was to my last video, because my last video I had to wake up super early in order to lift before work. Now it's late at night, and this is the only time I'm going to be able to get my workout done. And this week has been full of ups and downs, honestly, and it's been rather challenging. So it's good to get out here and to kind of forget about all of that and just to focus on what I need to tonight. So we'll see how it goes though, because I am very tired. So let's pop into tonight's workout and see what we got going on. Now for today's strength giant set, I'm going to be doing the Circus Dumbbell like I just said. And I'm going to pick it up and get it to my shoulder, and I'm going to drop it on that big old tire. And I'm going to alternate hands, starting with the right and then doing the left to make sure I'm even on both sides, even though it's not necessary. And that is a loadable Circus Dumbbell, so I'm going to be adding weight as I go up. And in between, I'm also going to be doing some sled work. First starting off with a chest fly. And then I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to drag it backwards, which is going to work the antagonistic portion. And I wanted a floodlight to get better footage for you guys at night, but my wife gave me those tiny little fishing lanterns instead and said, here, try this before we make that purchase. Well, it didn't work out very well, so I'm gonna have to get a floodlight. So next time I'm working out at night, you should be able to see a lot better. So Circus Dumbbell is a staple when it comes to strongman. When you go to events, you're more than likely going to see some type of Circus Dumbbell implement because they're quite popular, and that's what a lot of strongmen use to test their strength. But realistically, it's really just a party trick. If you get really good at the technique and positioning that dumbbell on your shoulders appropriately and making sure that your arm is placed deep into your lat to give it a nice straight platform, and you get good at timing it, you'll just be able to pretty much jump with that weight on you and catch it in midair. So really, it's just a party trick. However, you could still do this and get a really good workout. I'm working out pretty hard. I'm doing some sled work. I'm alternating the hands, and as a result, I'm getting a lot of conditioning in just by doing this alone. So Circus Dumbbell definitely has its place, but if you're looking to increase overhead strength, there's better movements than this. But since I am a strongman and I like to use strongman to both get conditioned and to get strong for functional movements, I definitely throw in the Circus Dumbbell. And sometimes when I have a whole bunch of clothes on a hanger and I need to, throw them on one side of my shoulder and get them up into the closet, it is kind of nice because I put them in the Circus Dumbbell position. Or if there's a weird heavy object, I'm able to get it to my shoulder, I'm able to place my hand like it's a Circus Dumbbell, and I'm able to carry it. So there definitely is a place for having the Circus Dumbbell when it does come to functional fitness and everyday life. And the Circus Dumbbell, even though it's made to be lifted, it's a lot harder to lift than a normal dumbbell. Because when you have a normal dumbbell, the diameter of the handle is usually pretty thin. So you're able to get your whole hand around it, and the bells are usually a lot smaller. So you're able to kind of get into a good solid position, and then you're able to kind of just press it overhead. It's not that big of a deal. The Circus Dumbbell is a lot bigger. Empty, the Circus Dumbbell is 80 pounds. When you go into the gym and you take an 80-pound dumbbell, more than likely it's going to be a lot easier for you to lift that one than it is a Circus Dumbbell, because the handle is a lot thicker and it's just a really big object. But I will say this, if you actually know how the design is supposed to work, and then you're able to get into the correct position with that heavy implement, it actually will be able to go up easier overhead than a normal dumbbell, because it is made to be lifted, like I said. You just kind of have to figure it out, and it requires a lot of technique. You'll see a lot of guys that have really strong overhead pressing, they can lift a world record log in strongman or an axle continental clean and press. And they can even do dumbbells, in a seated dumbbell position. They're able to lift a lot of weight when it comes to that. But then when they get to the Circus Dumbbell, they absolutely suck. And the reason being is it's a whole different ball game. This requires a whole lot more finesse, timing, and athleticism and technique than it does just building your overhead strength. So again, if you want to build overhead strength, there's definitely better implements out there. But you could still use the Circus Dumbbell to do that and get a decent workout if you do it all correctly. So now this is going to be my top set just for this Circus Dumbbell before I transition to the Monster Rogue Bell. So this is going to be 120 pounds. So this actually flew and it felt pretty good. So I did feel comfortable transitioning over to that Monster Rogue Bell. And if you noticed in one of my sets, I actually threw a belt on. That was just to kind of see if I could get the same positioning I can without a belt. And the answer was no. I'm just so used to lifting without a belt that I've kind of get more power out of it if I just don't use a belt. So that's why I'm not going to use a belt. And the last one was a little iffy on my left hand. So that kind of means that when I transition to the Monster Rogue Bell, I'm probably not going to hit with my left. So I'm going to try to work on the technique. So this was my top set with the Rogue Monster Bell. And I actually haven't lifted this in a very long time. So I was very excited to lift it. So it went up pretty nice. I got in a pretty good strong position. And my lockout isn't as strong as I wanted it to be, but I was able to stabilize it. And then I threw it down like a boss because I was pretty proud of the fact that I was able to catch it. Usually it goes up and I have to be able to stabilize it a lot better. So that wasn't too bad. Now, this is with my left hand. I took my hat off so I'd make sure I get in a good comfy position. And I get my lat set. And this actually goes up pretty good. I just wasn't able to stabilize at the top due to my bicep surgery. So I was happy with that. And so for the volume giant set, I decided that it would be better if I kind of just worked on my technique and also just got some more reps in and made my shoulders a little bit tired. So I'm going to be doing what's called a press away. That's when you get the Circus Dumbbell up in that position, but instead of dropping it to the ground and starting all over from the ground to overhead, you just keep repping out from your shoulder. So that's what I was going to do. And really the most important thing is my left hand, because a year ago I had bicep surgery and my left bicep isn't quite as stable as my right. So I really need to work extra hard on that. So that's why I chose to do this. And again, this isn't the best exercise to build overhead strength, but this is a great drill to do for building your Circus Dumbbell because they are very different movements. So this is getting my movement pattern down. And you can see that my last rep knocks my hat off. I was bummed about that. Yeah, if you didn't know, I'm bald, but you probably figured that out when you did the left-handed Monster Rogue Dumbbell earlier, so no surprises there, hopefully. And I also decided to keep in the same format of just doing my sled so I'd land on a nice easy number. So that's why I'm doing 3 rounds. I'm just going to continue to keep that same weight on the sled and continue to do the chest flies and the backward drags. Now here's a behind the scene view. I think this was the second round that I did. But I decided to change the view so you can kind of see from a different angle what I got going on. Now you could see that it gets comfortably on my shoulder and it's basically just sitting there and my arm is just there as a platform. And I'm really jumping and popping with, in this case, it would be my right hip. So I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting that power and that explosiveness. And you can see that it moves a lot faster than the first round. And for the left arm, I can't get in the same comfortable position as I could with my right, mainly because that's my offhand. This is essentially like throwing a baseball, if I'm right hand dominant, throwing a baseball with my left arm. So it's pretty awkward. Most strongmen only concentrate on one arm, but I like to concentrate on both. So that's why I'm working on my left arm too. And I have to get into a different position and it takes me a little bit longer to stabilize it, but it went well. All right, so 2 good things happened tonight. Number 1, I didn't drop the dumbbell on my head. I've actually done that before. It hurts a lot. It's like getting hit in the head with like a baseball bat. Another thing that's good is I didn't die and get any injuries, but I definitely felt like when it was in the lockout position, it started to get away from me on the Monster Dumbbell. Unfortunately, I was able to control it. So it kind of shows that my stability over time is improving and I'm going to be able to achieve my goals pretty quickly here. Now you can see I was using 2 different kinds of Circus Dumbbells. This is like a traditional Circus Dumbbell. It's loadable. You could put weights in here and you could put clips in there to make sure they don't fall out. And then there's the Rogue Monster Bell. Now, in my opinion, this is a lot easier to lift than the Rogue Monster Bell. Reason being, it's got sharp edges. So I have protective forearm gear and that actually sits pretty comfortably on there and it doesn't dig into my wrist because of this guard. So I'm actually able to use this guard to get into a very good position and a strong, efficient position from the bottom. So I'm able to use my whole body into the lift. Another reason this is easier to lift is this is a 2.5 inch diameter in the handle. So the thinner a handle is on a dumbbell, the easier it is to lift because it just fits perfectly in your hands and you're able to squeeze the heck out of it and get some inertia. Now with the Monster Dumbbell, that is a 3-inch diameter handle, so it's a lot harder to grip and I have a very difficult time stabilizing it when it's up to my shoulders. It's also harder to get it from the ground to my shoulder for that reason. And the bells there are rounded, so I'm unable to rest my forearm against the bell in order to get into a good lockout position. So a lot of it is very unstable. When that's up on my shoulder, it's actually doing this a lot, versus with this one, I'm able to actually stabilize it and lock into my lat, and then it's a nice easy platform to press off of with a little bit of help from that wrist guard to make sure that I can hammer it up. So I'm going to finish the workout with the sled, because honestly, the sled is the greatest exercise ever. I could pick 3 exercises to do in giant set format, or I can just do one sled motion, and that covers like 5 different exercise movements. So let's pop in and finish the rest of this workout. For the assistance giant set, I was just going to try to move the sled as fast as I can, and I got a little creative. I just decided to throw that circus dumbbell on top of it and to pull it across the bullpen as such in the ox drag fashion. So I think that's about 200 pounds because I added like more weights in there. Once I was done with that, then I moved to my accessory giant set, which was going to be tricep push-ups on that monster dumbbell. That way it wiggles a little bit and it makes it just a little bit harder. And I also did some side delt raises to really finish off my shoulders. I like this exercise because I believe it builds stability in my shoulders when I have to lock it out. And I also finished with face pulls, of course. And that was really the workout for the day, and it went splendidly. Whoa, hello there. Didn't see you there. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope that everybody learned something new. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.